Can we talk about the elites for a minute, in particular, of the three things you list: progressive elites, tribalism, globalization? I want to really dig in on this one because you've said, and I want to get this quote right, but something to the effect of like, woke is a Frankensteinian monster that turns on its creator. And for me, having grown up in California, everybody knows I have a bone to pick with Gavin Newsom. I feel he's destroyed my home state. And I echo your warning and concern that California is what becomes of the rest of the country if we don't stop this here now from spreading. And yet he sits there and he preaches DEI and inclusion while being a white guy, like 50s, I think maybe a little bit older, running the state, living in a $9 million house. So I'm like, wait, hold on. Yeah. So it's all of this DEI stuff for everybody, but you're still in power. You're still loaded. You still live in a $9 million house. And you've talked about how like Boxer and Feinstein and the previous governor, Jerry Brown and Newsom have all managed to evade what they have created, this Frankensteinian monster. Why have they created it? How are they avoiding it? And for how much longer?
Well, the DEI was a creation of very wealthy, to be frank, white people.
Right.
And they felt very bad as the demography started to change. And we went from a 90-10% black-white binary through immigration to about 70-30. They felt that they didn't really believe, but they felt bad about it because they looked at disparities in income based on race. So they said, we're going to violate the Constitution and allow preference based on race. However, we're going to be the architects of it, and we are the favored people. And the implicit philosophy was, this can't affect us, because if it affected us, it would impair our ability to do well. And how that translated in the real world was, I have a child at Bellarmine or Sacred Heart, and that white male deserves to get into Stanford or USC or UCLA or Harvard, and I'll use all my network money, zip code to get him there. However, he will pay penance. By the time he gets to the university, he'll be an advocate for all of his causes of the downtrodden, at least as a rite of passage. So Gavin Newsom, I'll give you an example. Stanford, after George Floyd, decided they would go to reparations admissions. So it wouldn't, they used to be 65% white. And then they decided, no, we're going to throw out the SAT and we're not going to rate the high school GPA by the caliber of that particular high school. And then they let in, so last year and the last 3 years, they let in 20% white of a demographic that was 67%. They even bragged that they rejected 70% of those who chose to take the optional SAT and got a perfect score. And so there was only 9% white males. And so when you start to look at who gets in the 200 white males at Stanford every year, well, there's not enough room. There's athletes. There's the legacy that means their parents give $5 or $6 million. There's Silicon Valley's got $9 trillion of market capitalization right next door. That takes care of those grandees. And then there's the administrators, the vice president, the provost, the deans. And there's really no avenue for a kid from Bakersfield who's brilliant.
All right, tell me the truth. How many different beauty potions do you have sitting on your bathroom counter right now? Because if it's more than just Vibrance Super C Serum, then listen up. Because the ingredients in this one bottle can replace your day creams, eye creams, night creams, neck creams, wrinkle creams, and dark spot reducers. It's made in the U.S. with the highest quality ingredients, including vitamin C, hyaluronic acid, vitamin B5, vitamin E. Super C Serum delivers noticeable results. So simplify your skincare routine. Get a healthier complexion. Minimize wrinkles and age spots with Vibrance. And if you don't find it better than your current skincare, you'll get a full refund. So go to Vibrance.com/Jillian to save up to 37% off, and you get free shipping. That's Vibrance, Vibrance, Vibrance.com/Jillian. When we talk about success in the health and wellness space, people usually focus on the product. Maybe it's killer protein powder, a sleek activewear line, a smart home workout program. But what most people don't realize is that the real magic often happens behind the scenes. Take some of your favorite brands like Alaya Naturals, Skims, or mine, for example. Yeah, I mean, we've got the products and the hype, but we're also using something that makes the selling part smooth and seamless. That business, the behind the scenes business, is Shopify. And nobody does better than Shopify at selling. Home to the #1 checkout on the planet and the not so secret weapon, Shop Pay, which boosts conversions by up to 50%. That means fewer carts get abandoned and way more sales actually go through. So if you're serious about scaling your business, your commerce platform better be ready to meet your customers where they are online, in store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Because businesses that sell more, they sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Alaya and Skims use. Sign up for your free $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Jillian. That's shopify.com/Jillian, all lowercase. One more time, shopify.com/Jillian to upgrade your selling today.
To get into these places. And then when you get them in, what do? Because you're telling these students, and this was what was really Orwellian. They said, all these years they've said, if you get a BA from Harvard or Yale or Stanford, all the employers will want to have you because the prestige is based on the fact that it's so hard to get in. You have to be so well trained. You have to be so analytical. And these courses nobody else can do but you guys. And so when you go out in the job market, boy, you can speak well, you can write better, you have a better ability to calculate and do sophisticated math, you're worldly. So that was what they sold everybody. And then all of a sudden they destroyed that. So what do you do when you destroyed it? Well, the first thing they did, they either have to do three things. They either have to inflate the grades, 80% now at Stanford are A's, Yale's about 80%, or you have to introduce new courses that are dumbed down, if I could use that term, or you have to dilute the requirements, and they do all three. I talked to a professor. We can teach if you want it at Hoover, but most of us don't want to because we've taught our whole lives elsewhere. But they all say to you, I was not going to die on the altar of standards. If I went back to my original course load and grading, and the DEI people who are ubiquitous saw a pattern of non-white kids not getting the same grades, then I was identified serially as a DEI offender. Well, this was all fine and good because they were running on the fumes of their reputation. But after 4 years, I gave a talk to some Silicon Valley people not long ago. I thought I was going to be very offensive and bold. And I said, if this keeps up, I don't think all of these mega corporations are going to hire kids from Harvard and Stanford because their curriculum is not what it was built for. And more importantly, they're going to be entitled because they never really had to do the work at the level that these universities assured everybody would make them preeminent. And I'm not kidding you, the 4 or 5 people just started laughing. And they said, where have you been, Victor? We have known this for the last 4 years. If we hire these kids, they go right to human resources and complain the first month. God. And we would rather have a techie from Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, Virginia Tech any day. And I thought, wow, and I think that's one of the reasons that for all of Trump's bluntness and crude battering of Harvard and these universities, he's going to win because the universities are kind of like a mossy, beautiful rock on a hillside. Everybody sees the ivy arches and the name Stanford, but when you turn it over, and the public has never seen the underside, it's ugly. And by that I mean they are defying the 2022 Supreme Court ruling on racially blind hiring tenure activities. They have racially separate graduations. They call them auxiliary. They have racially segregated dorms. They call them theme houses.
God.
They have not fully reported money from China are gutter, 60 million. They have endemic, systematic anti-Semitism. They won't. Harvard had 2 students that roughed up a Jewish student, and they face criminal charges. They plea bargained down to, I think it was 90 days of public service to get out of having it on their record. You thought Harvard would then punish them. They rewarded them. One of them was given a $65,000 honorarium by the law school. The other was made a grand marshal of the divinity school. So basically, Harvard says if you go out and beat up a Jew, we're going to give you an award. And yet, I could go on, but 55%. So if you get a National Institutes of Health or Department of Energy grant from a university, most foundations will require only a 15% surcharge for your home facility to allow you to have a desk they were charging the government 50 to 55%. And then we have 300,000 students from China and another 200 from the Middle East. They charge them 110%, no discount, no fellow. They're big money winners. And we don't vet them. So they don't want to talk about, I don't want to give you a precise percentage, but a sizable percentage of the Chinese students at the Kennedy School of Government are the children of communist provincial officials in communist China. And most of the kids here from the Middle East that we see in all these demonstrations are from the affluent elite with golf money scholarships and somehow. And they don't want to talk about any of this. And what Trump is doing in a very, like a battering ram, the more that he needles them, the more this comes out.
Yes. As the temps start to rise, I get that familiar urge to refresh my closet. But I am done wasting money on trendy pieces that I wear once, which is why I'm obsessed with Quints. The clothes are timeless, elevated, built to last, no insane markup. I'm talking about 100% European linen shorts and dresses that start at just $30. Italian leather platform sandals, luxe swimwear that looks straight off a runway but costs half of what you'd expect. Quints partners directly with top-tier factories, cutting out the middleman so you get designer quality at a price that actually makes sense. And they only work with ethical, responsible manufacturers who care about people and the planet. Personally, I stocked up on the linen tees and the tanks, and believe it or not, a killer summer dress. Occasionally, I do wear dresses. And honestly, it finally feels like my wardrobe matches my standards. Upgrade your wardrobe at quints.com. Luxury should never mean compromise. Team, give your summer closet an upgrade with Quints. Go to quints.com/Jillian for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Jillian to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quints.com/Jillian.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.